Hello, everyone. This is Ron, also known as Prognaut. I have a brand new segment that I'm calling Album Spotlight Plus. This is where I'm going to talk about some new and some old and some reissues. Uh, Basically, the ones that I've been listening to a lot. Now, these are ones that I have purchased. I don't want to have where people are going to start sending in their albums so they can be featured on the spotlight. These are things that I purchased. This is basically a labor of love for me. It's not my job. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about music, but I don't want to have deadlines and everything like that. So I have done spotlights in the past, but only one album. But I thought, I got so many, and I want to talk about it, quite a few on this episode. I have four new ones, one reissue, and three sort of old ones, maybe about less than 10 years old. Um, so let me start off with one that I recently interviewed the war guitarist in this band, Jason Blake, and this one is called Backward Sky Falling. This is an EP of four songs, and they're quite heavy. I wouldn't categorize them into prog metal, more heavy prog, all instrumental. Which is this is a fantastic album. You got if you like the heavy prog instrumental, this is something you're gonna like, especially if you listening to these three musicians that are fantastic. I know I keep on saying fantastic, but that's my word. Next up is a band that has been around for, since the late '60s, and they put out many albums, many wonderful albums. Um, some have called them the German Pink Floyd, which in the mid to late '70s they kind of were. I mean, they followed pretty much a similar formula to Pink Floyd. Before, I believe it was before the 1976, they had a slightly different, more edgier sound. This Then they kind of went into that Pink Floyd sound, and then in the '80s they adopted a kind of a hard rock sound. Their songs got shorter. The '90s and the early 2000s were kind of sparse with the releases. And the band that I'm talking about is Eloy, and their album is Echoes from the Past. Now, honestly, if this is their last album, I say they're going out on a high note. Again, the songs are a little shorter than normal, uh, but they have this punch to it, and it does feature a little bit of that Pink Floyd sound combined with the hard rock sound and the edgier sound. If you're a fan of Eloy and like what they've been doing in the past decade or so, uh, this is something that you're going to really enjoy. Next one is another band that's been around for a while. Not quite as long as Eloy, but it's been around for almost 30 years. They recently had a weekend of festival to celebrate their music, the new album, and their music. Um, the album is Look at You Now by the Flower Kings. These guys consistently put out quality material year after year. Um, I have been a fan of theirs since the mid '90s, almost I want to say '96. Got to see them in 1997 in Los Angeles, which was a rare treat. Uh, I saw them again maybe about 3 or 4 years later and they were great. This album is great. I mean, if you've been following their career as long as I have, you know that these guys are top musicians. The music that they make is, in my opinion, timeless. And that's a rare thing because sometimes people stick themselves in certain eras. They won't get out of that era. They just kind of replay themselves over and over. But with the Flower Kings, you listen to their music and it's like, it's timeless. And it's always beautiful melodies. The lyrics are amazing. You know, there's nothing more else to say. It's like, if you're a fan and you haven't bought this thing yet, you know, I suggest you go and get it because it's worth the money. It's worth supporting this band, and yeah. Next one is the last of the new ones. Now, this comes from I didn't even know it existed, and I kept on seeing little snippets about it. And then when I found out that it was a thing, it was going to be on CD, I had to get it because I love her voice. I really think of her in many ways like she encapsulates a lot of female vocalists like Kate Bush. I can't think of I think it's Simmons from Epicot. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please be nice. She loves doing covers of that, and her name is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Dikiji, and the album is by this band called Quicksilver. Now I'm not going to attempt to say the name because I'm not sure. This again looks like it's an EP. Now, if you have her solo album, it's more on the melodic side. This one has like a hard rock, almost metal sound, and it suits her voice perfectly. So I think it's kind of nice that she can be able to have that chameleon effect where she can go play soft music, and then when she does her solo piano playing, you know, you can hear all the different ways, but her voice is just beautiful. I love that voice. All right, now for some of the older ones. This one is a reissue from 2023 that was from an album that was released in 1993, 30 years ago, and it's David Bowie, Black Tie, White Noise. Now, I got this on a recommendation. Well, it wasn't necessarily a recommendation, but on one of my shows where we did the favorite albums from 1993, one of my guests, Steve Swain, this was one of his choices, and the way he described it, I was intrigued, and I had to get it. Now, this is a very different kind of sound that I'm used to. This has a more R&B kind of jazzy feel to it, but it's so different. You know, it sounds great in this car stereo. I mean, the bass and everything, and the drums. And I think I said thank you to Steve. I'll say thank you again for recommending this to everyone. Great album. Now, here's some older ones from almost 10 years ago. The first one is Daphne Guinness, Optimist in Black. Now, this was produced by Tony Visconti, which produced a lot of David Bowie stuff. This is basically a love. I want to say a love letter to that early '70s glam rock. You know, the T-Rex and David Bowie did. Um, uh, One of the standout titles is "Evening in Space." It has a video, and the video it has adult content. I mean, it, they show things. Um, Marionettes is another great one. I've been continuously listening to this, and if you like that glam music from the early '70s, this is something you might want to check out. And it was produced by the guy that produced T-Rex's what was that album they did? Electric Warrior. Excuse me. So this one's a great one. I thoroughly enjoy it. Now these next two, I found out on YouTube. YouTube every once in a while sends recommendations that I get, I understand. And this one, the first one is from Emma Ruth Rundle on Dark Horses. Now this kind of goes away from what I normally listen to. This one has more of an alt rock sound. I want to say in the PJ Harvey, Tori Amos area. You can hear she has a ton of videos on YouTube to listen to. She has some videos on this album, and she has live ones. So she was really good. I mean, she plays guitar, and it's not clean. It's not it's not pretty, but it just has a beauty to it. If you get my understanding here, good stuff. Last one, again, another one that was on YouTube that I found. Chelsea Wolfe, His Spun. This one is a dark, gloomy, gothic album. This Chelsea plays guitar and does the singing. I believe it's a three-piece. I'm not 100% sure, but again, she has a lot of videos up on YouTube too. So it's like, this one's really good. If you like that dark, moody kind of music, and it has a gloom. The guitars seem to be, they sound like they're down-tuned a little bit. So that's where I figured fans of like Black Sabbath would probably dig it. So that's one to check out. So that's it for, I will say this is episode 1. Next episode is going to be next month. Again, I think it's only going to feature 2 new and 2 old. I may even dig into the vaults and pull something out. But I like to make sure all the albums that I talk about are within like the last 30 to 60 days of purchasing, since they're kind of new, and I'll be kind of fresh in my mind to talk with you about. What new ones have you gotten? Anything? Any discoveries that you got? Whether it's through recommendations through friends or on YouTube or anywhere else. I like to, post them down below, because hey, the more music, the better. Okay, until next time, happy listening.